Next up is a review of another play. This time it's one of those, I don't know if anyone reads sort of older drama, but there's an imprint out there called New Mermaids, and they put out basically all of this restoration drama, some of it much older than restoration drama, but by lesser known playwrights. And the one I'm reading, or the one I'm reviewing today, is The Duchess of Malfi, which is by John Webster. That John Webster's birth records were quite probably destroyed in the Great Fire of London in 1666 is a really fitting biographical fact in light of reading The Duchess of Malfi. It perfectly highlights the senseless destruction, both physical and spiritual, that permeates the play. The duplicity, violence, and familial division rival anything that you find in Shakespeare, even if the poetry isn't as great. While the poetry doesn't reach the Shakespearean firmament in its Baroque floridity, the language is wonderful, just as full as of double entendre and puns as the best Shakespeare play is. The action is relatively straightforward, and I'll include some spoilers here, so if you don't want to hear those, stop here. The Duchess of Malfi, whose overbearing brothers Ferdinand and the Cardinal insist that she never remarry for fear that they might have to share her wealth with someone else. She disobeys them, and she asks Antonio, one of her stewards, to marry her. Several years pass, during which the Duchess has 2 children by Antonio, while the brothers remain ignorant of the marriage, but they eventually find out. In an attempt to escape Ferdinand's wrath, Antonio flees to Ancona. Bosola, the cardinal's henchman, goon, chases them in hot pursuit. The Duchess, her 2 younger sons, and her female servant are all killed on Bosola's instruction. Bosola, long upset by the cardinal's venality, decides to revenge the Duchess and her children. The cardinal, after murdering his mistress to keep her quiet, plans to kill Bosola too, but instead kills Antonio, who has since returned to Malfi. Just to drive home the idea of complete and utter wanton cruelty, the Cardinal, Ferdinand, and Bosola all die in a final melee. Just when you think all hope is lost, the Duchess's oldest son appears on stage in the final scene to take charge of a court that has destroyed itself because of its singular bloodlust. However, Webster leaves little room for the reader to imagine matters getting any better. While Bosola seems like he might be the least interesting character because he has the least qualms with murder, he actually shows shows some interesting moments of moral ambiguity and even clarity, which makes his development more interesting to watch. Needless to say, by the end, you're left feeling rent in two by the treachery, the deceit, and the duplicity of it all. The Duchess's son doesn't provide the necessary Aristotelian catharsis that you're expecting, and instead of a court being wholly purged of bad seeds, you feel that he will end up a young victim in further machinations of the court. Another courtly pawn. While others seem not to have appreciated the introduction and the editorial notes of particularly this edition, again, it's the New Mermaids. I rather enjoyed them, and I thought that they shed a lot of light on productions, the composition of the play, and the historical background. And when I say historical background, yes, this play is actually based on historical events, if you can imagine that. As the footnotes are located at the bottom of the page, you don't have to flip back and forth between pages, which is kind of one of my bête noirs when it comes to Penguin Classics editions. all in all, I look forward to reading more of these. Um, Simply because they're just so. I love the thick paper. I love the footnotes on the bottom. Um, I also love Elizabethan and Jacobean drama. So, um, yeah, there you go. Um, bloody, bloody, bloody play. Don't read it if you're feeling depressed or anything. It's depressing. Um, the Duchess of Malfi. It'll make you lose all hope in humanity. By John Webster.